They will always find something to pick at or to nag or to accuse you of. If you know you haven't done anything wrong and you're still being accused of things, if you can, get out of the situation if it's possible, because it's just never going to get better. That's an issue with them, within their own heart and soul. Well, hello. I'm so glad to have you here. Good morning, good afternoon, happy day. I hope whatever time and day you're seeing this, that your life is just treating you well. I hope your week has been amazing. And if not, hey, there's still time for it to get better, right? My name is Douglas. If you've never been here before, I'm so glad to have you. And if you're returning, so glad to see you again. Today, I wanted to talk about some surefire signs to tell if you're in a toxic relationship. I think many times we can find ourselves in a grouping or a pairing with a person, and before we know it, things aren't going so great. And I think one of the things we do is we gaslight ourselves, in addition to whatever might be happening, toward us from that person, into believing that the situation isn't what it actually is. So today we're going to talk about some surefire signs that you might be in a toxic relationship. Let's talk about it. Okay, so when I go into this list, you'll see a lot of them are intertwined and they seem obvious, but like when you're in the middle of the situation, maybe it's not that obvious. So the first sign to tell if you're in a toxic relationship is you're afraid of them. And that could be physically afraid, spiritually afraid, emotionally afraid. Either way, they don't make you feel at ease. They don't bring you peace. This is a person that you're kind of afraid of. Like, you see their name flash up on your phone and you're kind of scared to open it. Or, they get home and you're kind of tense because you don't know what mood they might be in. These are some, very obvious signs that you might be in a toxic relationship. The person or people you're with should bring you joy, peace, calmness. They should be adding to your life, not subtracting from it. They shouldn't be bringing you fear. They should bring you happiness. You should be so excited when their name is mentioned, and you shouldn't feel dread whenever, their name comes up. So if you find yourself being afraid of your partner or partners, I would highly recommend that you give it some thought and maybe consider that your relationship isn't the most healthy. It isn't the most positive. That's the first sign. All right, another surefire way to tell if you're in a toxic relationship is they go through your phone. And maybe you also go through theirs. If there is that specific level of non-trust, I think that's just a huge indicator that the relationships may be a little toxic. Maybe it's not the most healthy. You should be able to trust one another, to not have to snoop through each other's phone. If you feel the need to go through someone's private, personal files, their texts, their emails, stop. What are you doing? And if they're doing that to you, stop. What are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's happening here? There really isn't any reason ever to go through another person's phone or their email or their electronic devices without their permission. If they give you permission to do it and they're like, hey, I need you to go check this thing, cool, whatever. If you have to feel like they're hiding something or you're suspicious, I would take great pause before ever going through someone's phone, ever trying to snoop. And I would just say, well, wait, what is this relationship? Because if the trust isn't there, what are you doing? What is the point of it? Going through someone's phone is a big indicator that your relationship is toxic. I don't care. There are no exceptions. Because you should be able to just ask. But like, my thing is, why do you need to ask? Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't you have a phone? Unless you don't have a phone. If you don't have a phone and you need to use theirs, cool. It should be a non-issue. But I just feel like if phones are an issue, if privacy is an issue, that's the indicator right there. It's because it goes beyond the phone. It goes beyond the emails or the DMs. It's the fact that there is no trust. It's the fact that you don't want them having privacy because you're afraid of what's happening in that privacy, or they're afraid, or whatever the thing is. You know what I mean? So the lack of privacy there, the lack of having, access, autonomy of your body, of your phone, that's a huge indicator that this relationship might be a little toxic. Along with that, another indicator that your relationship is toxic or not healthy is you don't feel like you can tell them the truth. Not saying that you're just out here lying and not being truthful. I mean, like, if you tell them, oh, the tire blew out on me on the highway, you're afraid to tell them that. You know what I mean? Because you're afraid of what their reaction will be. That's ultimately what I mean by you're afraid to tell them the truth. Because if you tell them the truth of something, you know that their reaction might be larger than what you really want to deal with. Or it might be physical, or whatever the thing is. It might be emotional. Either way, you're afraid to approach the truth because you just know how they handle things. Or even worse, you don't know how they're going to handle things because they're so unpredictable. If you are not able to just bring truth to the table, I would encourage you to, at the very least, reevaluate priorities and the relationship. Because truth should always come to the forefront. You should always be able to present truth and authenticity, because how else are you going to survive? The world is tough enough. It's hard out here, okay? So if you can't have trust and truth in your actual relationship, then start over. Go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? That said, please tell the truth as often as you can, if it's safe, obviously. I don't want anyone to be in an unsafe situation. So another indicator that your relationship might be toxic is they try to choose your friends for you. And this goes one of two ways. They either are always trying to point you in the direction of someone they think you should be friends with, or they're trying to tell you someone that they don't want you to be friends with. Now, have you gone off and hooked up with a friend in question before, and then now they've got trust issues? Well, that's a different conversation, but my thing is, if there's no trust, there really is no relationship. So if trust has been broken and it's just broken still, I would say that the relationship is over. I think anything can be repaired, but you have to be able to tell if something is able to be repaired. You have to be able to tell if something's over. If they're trying to dictate who you spend your time around, though, that's a huge red flag, controlling behavior. You should be free to spend time with whomever you'd like, and you should be able to spend it however you'd like. You shouldn't have to answer to anybody. You're not a child. You're an adult. You should be free to make choices as an adult, as a free human being. And if they're trying to dictate who your friends are, I think that's a means of control. I think that's just a way to keep you under their thumb. That's a way for them to just keep tabs on you. You should be able to make your own friends. They shouldn't have any say in who your friends are. I mean, of course, you can ask what your opinion, what their opinion is, and they can have input in that regard. But it's your life, and you should be able to live your life. Specifically when it comes to friends, they shouldn't have any say-so in who your friends are. I just think that that's a big red flag. So if they're trying to pick who your friends are, and if they're trying to tell you who you can't spend time around, that to me is a big red flag that this relationship is at least a little toxic. Also, if they're trying to isolate you, if they don't want you to have any friends, if they're trying to keep you all to themselves, that's a huge, major red flag. And any person that loves you should want you to be able to get out there and make friends and have a life and live your life, They shouldn't just be trying to hoard all of your energy and physical time. That's not cool. Okay, so this one kind of ties in with you're afraid to tell them the truth. But a big indicator that your relationship might be a little toxic is you can't or don't trust them. There is no trust. Now, whether that's you can't trust them to be faithful, or you can't trust them not to have a large physical reaction to something you say to them, either way, you can't trust them. You don't have trust. It's just not on the table. You have to second guess everything they say and do, and they second guess everything you say and do. And really, if you've never done anything wrong and they're still second guessing you, I would back away, because it's well, at what point is it ever going to be good enough for you? It won't be. They will always find something to pick at or to nag or to accuse you of. If you know you haven't done anything wrong and you're still being accused of things, if you can, get out of the situation if it's possible, because it's just never going to get better. That's an issue with them, within their own heart and soul. So if you can't trust them, I think you just need to really reevaluate what's going on in your life and in the relationship. Trust should always be at the forefront. Truth should always be at the forefront. If you don't have those, I don't think you have much of a relationship. Another indicator that the relationship is toxic, and this might seem small, but they pick on you. So I'm a little biased. I don't do any of the pick on. I don't do that. I don't do the nitpicky, even jokey picking on. No. Why would you want to make your loved one or partner feel like shit, even playfully? I don't get it. I don't get why you would want your partner to feel like less of a human just because entertainment. I don't know. That's not cool. If they're picking on you, if your relationship is built on picking at one another, honestly, I think you both need to grow up. I think you both have some maturing to do, because no loving dynamic is built off of picking on one another. Yes, that can be a portion. That could be a part of what your relationship is, I guess. But if that's the basis, if it's based on nagging and picking on one another, I'm sorry, this isn't a late 90s sitcom. There's more to life than that. You should love one another. You should want to uplift one another. It shouldn't be based on making each other feel like shit. That's not a good relationship. Another indicator that your relationship might be toxic is they either do or try to embarrass you, and usually publicly. This goes along with picking on and nagging, but if they're doing things that they know will embarrass you, know that will make you feel like crap, and they're usually doing this in public, maybe in front of their friends, maybe in front of your friends, If this is a trend, if this is not a one-off, if this is something that always happens, I think that relationship might be toxic. I think you might need to reevaluate what's really important to you in your life. What are your needs and wants? Because a person, again, shouldn't be trying to make you feel like garbage. They should be trying to make you feel like the top of the world, the king or queen. Like you should be the very best in their eyes. Why on earth would they want to embarrass you if they love you? Ask yourself that question. If you're doing that to your partner, why? If you love them, why would you want to embarrass them? Why would you want them to feel like crap? I would think that that's another control issue. That's a means of keeping them separated and isolated because you have your thumb on them. Because you're able to say, well, you're a piece of crap and I'm the closest person to you and I'm telling you that. If that's the mentality, if it's safe, back away, get out of that relationship because it just shouldn't be about those things. Your relationship should be about love and support. And there is not love and support in embarrassing and picking on someone. There's just not. And finally, a sure shot way to kind of tell if you're in a toxic dynamic, they diminish your feelings and they don't respect you. So like you say, hey, I really didn't like this thing that occurred. And they tell you, oh, that's no big deal. Well, you just told them that it is a big deal. If they're diminishing your feelings, your thoughts, if they're invalidating you, that is a major red flag that your relationship is toxic because they don't respect you. They don't see you as a full human being. They don't see you as an equal, and it should be about equality. You're in a relationship, all right? They are not your teacher. They are not your parent. So if it's not equal, there's no trust, and they diminish your feelings and thoughts, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? They should be listening to you. I don't care how insignificant they might think it is or how, if they don't think it's a big deal, okay, whatever. That's really not, that doesn't matter. They should always be willing to hear you out. Your partner should always be willing to hear you out, even if they disagree with you and vice versa. If that ever stops happening, I would stop, pause, reevaluate what's going on in the relationship, what's going on in your life, because your feelings are valid. They matter. Your opinion matters. Your perspective matters. If they're invalidating that, if they don't respect you, then if it's safe, get out of that relationship. At the end of the day, no matter what I've just said in this list, and I could list 20 more things right now, whatever it is, if you find yourself in some of these or in all of these, if it's safe, if the relationship's over, get out. Be safe about it. Be smart. Find your resources. Find your people that can help you. Don't do anything that's going to put you or your children or anything like that in jeopardy or in harm's way. But if you can, I would highly recommend get out of that relationship. Go where you're wanted. Go where you're desired. Don't go where you're tolerated. Because all these are indicators of a person tolerating you. Kind of. You know what I mean? Don't go where you're tolerated. Go where you're celebrated. What did you think of this list? Did I miss anything? Did you disagree with anything? Please comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget, I post it's early in the morning when I'm recording this. Don't forget, I post new content every Monday and Thursday. I post my shorts like every other day. I post music a couple times a year. So please join my community. Like, subscribe, and share. Comment below. Say, I subscribed. I'd love to hear from you. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. We attract love, light, peace, safety, and security if we say we do. Anyways, I'll talk to you later.